In every community, there is a voice. In Milpitas, that voice is unique. That voice is diverse. That voice is innovative. That voice is expressive. That voice is multicultural. That voice is groundbreaking. That voice is thought-provoking. That voice is powerful. These are some of the residents from Milpitas who make up that voice. And they deserve a news source that will represent them to the fullest.
Hi everyone, I'm Rhoda Shapiro and I want to welcome you to the Milpitas Beats Unfiltered. Today we have with us the Milpitas City Council candidates. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I also want to introduce you to our host. This is Mitch Costanza. Enjoy the show.
Hey again, I'm Mitch. This is Unfiltered. I've been here all day. We've had some incredible panels talking to amazing people getting ready for the November 6th election. So let's just get started. Why don't we start with you, and you can introduce yourself and what your role has been, or if you've been already in office. Just give us just a little bit about yourself. We'll start with you, we'll go down there, and then we'll head this way. Tell us who you are.
So good morning, good evening. Thank you so much for having me in this show. My name is Van Lan Trung, and I'm currently working for Santa Clara County Behavioral Health Services as Management Analyst. How much time do I have?
That's good. We'll just go with that. You're going to have time to say other things. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robert Marini. I've been a resident of Milpitas for over 30 years. I have an engineering background, and I've started an initiative to reduce the cost of service for you. So basically what I'm trying to do, even though I'm not a member of the City Council, I've worked for the voice or the opinions or the public, even in a non-council role to help you and give the residents of Milpitas a voice.
Awesome. Cool. We'll have more from that after. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Suraj San Vishwanathan. I came here to Milpitas about 14 years before with a $100 bill. And this city provided me with all the opportunity to become who I am today. And I'm very proud to be a resident of the city. And now it's time for me to give the city back what it provided me, an opportunity. Thank you.
Excellent.
Good evening. My name is Marcia Grilly. I currently serve as Vice Mayor of the City of Milpitas. In 1978, my husband and I and our 2-year-old daughter chose Milpitas as our home. He was a police officer in Richmond, and this was a very family-oriented city, and with long hours he worked, I found a lot of support while we lived here. It was a welcoming community, and at that time, it was at a time of a housing boom in Milpitas. And so there was a lot of change happening even then. Over the last 34 years, I've run a small business here in the community. And I'm a mom who raised 5 very successful children. All 5 children had their first jobs at the City of Milpitas in lifeguards and the swimming lessons. And I'm proud of the fact that my daughter and my daughter-in-law have been longtime teachers here in Milpitas. So I can say that Milpitas is my home, and it's a place that I care deeply about.
Awesome. You're up.
Good afternoon. My name is Karina Dominguez, and I've lived in Milpitas for over 18 years. I chose Milpitas to raise my daughter and to make sure that my parents had a safe place to retire. Milpitas has been a place that has given me so much, and as a single parent, I know how important it is to find a city like Milpitas to raise a child, because I truly believe that it takes a village to make sure that they are able to grow up into productive citizens. I am very proud of my daughter. She just started college at the University of San Diego, and now I'm ready to dedicate myself 150% of my time to the city that has given so much to my family. My parents both immigrated from Mexico. They actually used to pick the farms here in Milpitas a long, long time ago, and that is how we ended up in Milpitas. They always wanted to come back. And so today, I ask you for your support. I'm proudly representing my city as hopefully somebody that's going to garnish your support to represent you on the City Council.
Go for it. Sorry, I'm having a technical difficulty.
It's okay. I was
Changing your mic.
Hey, we're live, baby.
The joys of live.
The unfiltered part.
Just like politics. You gotta go with it.
Just go with the flow. Hey, Milpitas. I'm Tim Alcorn. I've lived in Milpitas for my entire life. You know, I grew up here. I went to Rose School. I went to Rancho. I went to Milpitas High. But before I go too much into that, I just want to thank the Milpitas Beat for hosting this. You guys are doing great work. You can't see, but they're spread out around here. But you guys are doing great work. You know, this opportunity you provided us to really voice our platform is pretty great. Thank you very much. But I grew up in Milpitas. I care a lot for the city. And right now, Milpitas, you know, it's not the same that it was 10 years ago. We're in a very transformational state. And, you know, I want to be a part of the change that's going on here. I want to help shape Milpitas for the next generation. You know, I want to give back to the city that gave me so much. And that's what I want the opportunity to do here.
Great. Good evening, everyone. I'm very glad to be here. And a while ago, we were saying we're a crowd here that just say that Milpitas community is very diverse. Milpitas community is very involved, and for us stepping up, we're already a winner on this race. So my name is Gary Barbadillo. I'm a current council member of the city of Milpitas. I am a proud father of 2 teenage kids and a loving wife that works in a public hospital. I am an attorney by profession. I do civil litigation and family law. I have a degree in political science. I have a doctor degree. I studied master's in public administration. With regards to my public service experience, I first became a commissioner for Parks and Recreation and Recycling Commission. I sat as a planning commissioner. I was once a school site council chairman of a local public school. I am currently holding at least 2 commissions as a liaison to the county. One is the Joint Powers Authority for Libraries. We do make sure that our public library system works good for our children. And I am your voice there to make sure that the children of Milpitas will benefit from that.
Quiet voice, because it's in the library, right?
It is, but I talk loud during that to make sure that we are heard as a city.
Awesome. Okay, go for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Milpitas Beat for this wonderful opportunity for the voters to get to know each other, to get to know all of us. A little bit about myself. I've lived in Milpitas since 1964. We came from the Central Valley when I was a small child. Attended all the Milpitas schools here. Well, not all of them. Able Elementary School, which no longer exists, Kirtner School, and also Russell Middle School and Milpitas High School. And actually Ayer while Milpitas High School was being built. I also got involved in politics when it's kind of sort of fell on my lap. It was when I grew up in Sunny Hills. If you know where Sunny Hills is, it's in the northern part of Milpitas.
I learned about it in the last panel.
Oh, okay. Well, so I grew up in...
I'm from out of town, so I'm totally unbiased.
Okay, that's great that you heard about Sunny Hills.
I did.
So I grew up in that neighborhood when I was a child. And I got involved in politics. Like I said, it sort of fell on my lap when I saw that there was an injustice in our community. The city was not putting in the resources in that neighborhood as they were with other neighborhoods. So that was when I formed the Sunny Hills Improvement Association. And then from there, I learned about ordinances, zoning, and so forth. And then that's how I got involved in Milpitas. My personal background, I'm a school teacher by profession, and also I'm really active in my community, and And I'm also a former vice mayor for the city of Milpitas and a former school board trustee. So I've been very involved and I love my community. Thank you.
What a great panel. You know, one thing I just want to mention that goes in line with my first question is, my father grew up in Martinez. Does anyone know where that is? Anyways, he grew up there in the 60s and or the late 50s. And when I was a kid, my dad would use the word Milpitas synonymous as, you know, in place of Timbuktu, the middle of nowhere. So like I never knew that Milpitas was a place. It was always place. Oh, we don't want to go there. It's all the way to Milpitas. I swear. And so that's how I knew Milpitas. So that jumps right into my first question, which is, here we are today, and we have an unprecedented 8 candidates. Why do we have so many people that want to be involved in this city? And what piece of that, you know, is involved with our very flourishing city? So many people that are so passionate. Anyone can jump in, and then we can kind of go short and take turns.
Well, so what I think is why there's so many candidates is just the state of Milpitas right now. You know, we have a population boom. We have a massive traffic crisis. We have a massive housing crisis. You know, a lot of my friends from high school who moved out, they moved out of town because they can't afford to live here. And right now, you know, there's just a lot of chaos going on in Milpitas. And I think people kind of just want to step up and, you know, they want to protect the city that they grew up in. You know, most of the people on this panel here have been here for a very long time. And they've seen, you know, how Milpitas has changed over the years. And now, you know, they want to get involved and make sure that it changes in the right way from here on.
Well, you know what, as a kid, something stuck on me. There was an election during my youth, and the candidate said that we'll start all over again. You know, being elected in office is not starting all over again. I believe that everybody who had served the city meant well for the city. And we're just catching up with development. We're catching up with the stimulus that is injected to Milpitas. Anybody who would be elected this coming election needs to continue that. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to restart processes. We have the right tools. We have the right policies. Enhance it and make it catch up with the development in Milpitas. There's no chaos. There are issues. There are issues that are solvable if the elected officials have integrity, have the know-how, have everything that it takes, a heart to serve the people. That's how we solve it. It's not adversarial. It's not something that he said this, that's wrong. It's a collaborative work. It's something that everybody should work on for the purpose of forwarding Milpitas to the future. It's all about. It's not
So I think this year is a perfect time to run for office. With everything that happened around us, you know, every day when I hear the news, it upset me because it seemed like we're in a very turbulent time.
You mean national?
National,
okay.
National. But locally in Milpitas, because I live here about 8 years, I moved here from Boston, Massachusetts, where I worked for the mayor in the city of Boston for about 7 years. And after working for Supervisor Cindy Chavez in Santa Clara County about 4 years, and serving on the Milpitas Community Advisory Commission for 5 or 6 years, and also a member of the General Plan Advisory Committee. I have enough knowledge about this lovely city. I live here with my husband for about 8 years since I moved from Boston. But all the years that I worked for the mayor and city of Boston have given me such a foundation in public service and community service. So I have decided to run this year. I'm so glad to look around that many friends. I must say that most of us are friends. And I must say that most of us are really committed to public service, community service. So I bring a wealth of knowledge in community service. Not only a short time that I'm here, I mean, compared to 30 years, probably 8 years didn't really measure up. But because I work for this community every day, I live just across from the Milpitas High School. So I know our neighborhood, I know our issue. So this is perfect time to run for office.
Real quick, Patriots or 49ers?
Oh my God.
just real quick.
Real quick. I apologize. I'm not big with sport, but I'm big on other issue.
49ers.
Good answer.
Just go with 49ers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just take it from what she said.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is turbulent times at a national level, and I think it's trickling down to the city, where
What specifically?
hate crimes.
Okay, thank you.
Hate crimes specifically are trickling down. In Milpitas, I would name at least 3 incidents where my community people have been.
Can you name one specific one?
One person, the neighbor just came and slapped a mom. I think everybody is aware of this, and it was an Indian, and I think that those kind of incidents really start boiling around for me to step up and represent my community, as well as raise a voice. I think
so. It was a racial
slur,
against
yeah.
Okay. Sorry, one thing I do in here is I just make sure that we get the specifics out, because sometimes people will say, I'm here for the solution, not the problem. So I'm the guy that goes, okay, what specifically is it? Doesn't mean you're saying anything wrong. I just want to get all the words out. So please continue.
So I want to represent my community, and I want to also send a message at the national level that, hey, you know what? We are people, we step up, we are your voice. And your voice can be only heard if you have somebody stepping up and representing you. And I think that's what I'm doing here. And again, going back to Gary's point, people who have served in this community, in Milpitas, in the city of Milpitas, has brought it to what it is today. The lifestyle that we live, the Great Mall that we see, things around you, whatever you see is built by the leaders who have been working very hard day and night in the past. And my take will be to take it, if whoever gets elected in this group, to take it from where they left, to make it even a better place. And that's what I'm going to do. And I think that's what we are all here to do.
So, go ahead, please. I want you to talk.
Sure. So I've been, first time I ran for school board was in 1994. And I served for 20 years on the Milpitas School Board. And the first time I ran was because I felt that, as a mom of 5 children, that the school district was not listening to the parents, and we needed a voice. So that was the first time I ran, and I spent 20 years there and built a reputation as being a consensus builder, being able to reach out to the community. And
how specifically did you do that? Like, what's one incident of something really awesome that you did
in the school district?
Yeah.
I think one of the best things that we did was we were able to bring together our community and our schools to get the families more involved. And I think Carmen was with us at that time when we really concentrated on getting families involved, because if you don't make the effort, it doesn't happen. And so we had to really reach out to people to bring them in. Another thing that we accomplished was that we were able to go to the community and talk about the needs of the school district and pass a bond that supported all of our schools and upgraded the schools. And so that was very successful to provide for the needs. But then in my 4 years now on City Council, I've am looking forward to another 4 years because I'm very excited about the direction that we are going with our new administration. The first thing that comes to mind is that when we were hiring a new city manager, I was able to go out and talk to people and ask them to apply. And the one person that I really asked to apply was the woman that we did hire as our city manager. And when she and I were talking, she told me, she came from the city of San Jose, she told me that what she viewed Milpitas as is that we're never going to solve our problems if we weren't part of the region, and Milpitas wasn't being part of the region. And so having brought her in, we've become much more involved in building partnerships in the region, and I'm getting council members involved in outside committees. And
that's interesting.
So, and because we do have traffic issues and we do have housing issues, but we're a part of a region, and we're not going to solve it just in Milpitas. We're not an island.
So regarding, thank you for that. Regarding, I've been talking to other folks that have been in here, traffic and housing and lots of issues going on. That's a big part of your campaigns. You've all been on the trail. I just kind of want to hear, in your interactions with citizens, what has citizens, what has been at the top of their list of concerns, of things that they would like help with? Anyone?
Yeah, so I want to just go back really quick on why we're running for office. I think that we're experiencing turbulence not only at the local level, but definitely at the national level. Right. One of the reasons that I decided to run for office is because as a staffer, I have worked with Senator Bob Wachowski and Assembly Member Kansen Chu. I have over 5 years of experience in legislative work, and one of the things that I have found is that in following our council meetings is I feel that our leadership is not asking the right questions. And I know that sometimes it's really hard to ask those challenging questions, especially when we have a report that's over 120 pages long. And for me, I do believe that that was something that ignited this passion to see change in my community, because going back to your question, we're seeing a lot of traffic, we're seeing a lot of housing, we're on the campaign trail as we're talking to different community members. One of the main things that has been brought up to my attention, apart from those two topics, is the inability for families to stay here. And for me, that's a high concern. We need to make sure that we are providing policy that's going to allow Milpitas to stay in Milpitas. It's getting too expensive. People are not able to buy their homes. They can't keep up with their HOA fees. They can't keep up with their rent. And
what's an HOA fee?
So one of the situations, for example, one of the examples when you're a homeowner, sometimes you have to pay a fee for maintenance if you reside in a townhome or whatnot. One of the experience I've had this situation knocking on doors where senior citizens in particular, because Milpitas, we have a lot of Milpitians here who have lived here for years. And what's happening is that seniors are not getting enough from their Social Security and their pensions to keep up with the bills because everything is getting so expensive. So at a local level, I believe it's the responsibility of leadership to provide programs to subsidize those extra fees for senior citizens.
Is there rent control?
There is not a rent control. And actually, that is something that I would love to champion. I have not heard that conversation happen in council, and if it has been, it's not in the forefront, at least from what I've heard from community members and what I have followed as a policy analyst for the two positions that I have held. Rent control is not a conversation. We currently have Prop 10, which I fully support. We do need rent control in Milpitas. We can't continue to have these rents skyrocket overnight over $1,000 because it does happen, and it pushes the most vulnerable families out of our beautiful city.
Yeah, I concur with that. This is a regional issue. It's happening all over Silicon Valley. As you know, this just like it sort of reminds me of the gold rush. Back in the gold rush, everybody was looking for gold because that's like the jobs. That's where the money's at. Here, instead of the gold, it's the jobs because there's jobs everywhere. I mean, people can't even keep up with finding workers. But the problem is the housing. You have a lot of foreign investors as well that are buying, and then that prices the people out of the market. So what happens is people wind up moving to the Central Valley, but at the same time, they're impacting our traffic. And as you know, the traffic is for me, that's really important. That's one of my issues that I want to, as a city council person, I would like to provide shuttle services for our seniors because, as Karina mentioned, they are very vulnerable. They can't get around in this city. I meet so many seniors.
And how would that be funded?
Well, that's what we would have to do as a group. Because remember, it takes a majority to vote on an item, and so on the council, I would have to ask my city council members, my colleagues, if they would find the money to support something like. But that's really, but it depends on what where their priorities are.
And but then affordable housing and transportation is really a regional issue. It's not any particular local that could solve the issue because we have Caltrain, we have BART, we have VTA, with so many other partners that we can partner with to really tackle the problem that we have here.
But one of the problems with VTA though is that seniors have complained to me that it takes weeks for an appointment. And so
we have to think of
those
creative way.
Yeah, we would have to create, and that's one of the things I want to do is create a traffic or circulation commission that would deal with potholes, deals with repavement of streets, deals with street lights, deals with anything dealing with circulation with traffic. So if I am a council member, that's one of my priorities is traffic, because I know that's a big issue in this town.
But I
And
also
can't
look
get
at,
around.
their car with no driver, their Uber, their Lyft. There are many creative way for transportation for people, shared drive, and so many other ways. So I hope that, together we could find a better.
Yeah.
One thing I've
Real
heard.
quick, did you want to say something?
I did, and I think Gary would probably want to follow up. As far as it became really apparent to us when we had the crisis at Sunny Hills, when all of the families there were in danger of losing their homes, and we worked really hard to find a solution for them. But it became apparent to us, especially when the county came and talked about the fact that we don't have any tenant protection laws in place. And so the council has had that conversation, and we did, as a council, approve a tenant protection task force, which was delayed because of the transition with our city manager. But those are the conversations that they'll be having, is the just cause ordinances, the rent control. So those are all things, those are all tools that we can use as in local control to deal with those issues. But we'd be short-sighted if we said that rent control was going to solve our affordability in our housing. We have to be able to focus on our very low income, our low income, and then we have to look at the working families, the teachers, and some of our city employees who aren't able to live in Milpitas. So
Robert,
we have.
Can you not click the pen? It's right next to the microphone.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So-
if I had a pen here, I'd be doing it.
So we
Go
have to
ahead.
be very creative and reach out to our region and look for other ways to provide for that housing that our families do need.
Right.
So-
So to follow up on that,
ahead, Gary.
before
Go
I give my points, we did fund senior shuttle. I initiated a funding for the last budget, and it's going and running. We have approved at least 36,000 to bring the senior
Good.
shuttle back. Right. Let's be mindful that we all live in Milpitas. I breathe the same air as you do. I pay the same utility as she does. I get stuck with the same traffic as San is talking about. So to say that the leadership, the current or the past, is amiss of that responsibility for not addressing such issues is something that I cannot take, right? It's something that is primordial to us. We did have some policies. Let's talk about the other. We did fight it on all fronts. Litigation, investigation,
And money. We spent
and money.
millions,
We spend a lot of money on that. Affordable housing, we are very mindful of that. There are state laws that says that we should provide affordable housing. There are housing elements. These are policies that trickles down to Milpitas, and the leadership makes policies to enforce it in the city. We are mindful of that.
So I would like to add, so one of the things that I loved the conversation, and one of the things that why I decided to run at a local level is because exactly what you just said, Gary. You have local control. So that means I know from experience that government is slow at all levels. It takes a lot longer to pass something at the state level than at the local level. If you want to champion something, you could pass something within 2 years. You don't need it to prolong for 4 years. So for rent control, you need a champion to say, hey, you know what? I see this as an issue. Let me find out where the money's at. I'm going to write a memo and let me talk to my colleagues to see what they're going to say. You know what? Let's write the memo. Let's put it upon council and let's get these votes and let's make this happen. I have not seen that happen from Milpitas.
Well,
Let me
make it
interfere.
appear that
I think,
it's so
I think
simple.
Tim was.
Yeah.
It's not that
I'll get
simple.
you in one
It's just not that simple.
Tim had his.
I'm going to give Robert a shot real quick because he's been trying to get in.
Yes, exactly.
Don't worry, y'all are doing great. But let's give Robert a little
Yeah.
little action.
Yeah, the city is expanding the population, yet it tells the residents to conserve water. There seems to be some sort of hypocrisy going on here. The latest Bartley report says that our water fees are going to increase by 22% because we're losing more water today than we did 2 years ago, and we're losing it at an accelerated rate. Okay, so And the city is transferring $2.7 million out of the water fund to the general fund. And we asked them to verify, because I was a member of the Water Rate Task Force, and they would not have a time card to disclose how this happens. The city is also going to spend, and is spending, millions of dollars to convert parks that have potable water to recycled water. What happens then is you're losing revenue to the water fund, because if they charge, if the current rate for water is $6.43. Now, if the city reduces that to recycled water at $2.70, that's revenue lost to the water fund.
So what do you want to do with that money, Robert?
Well,
if that happens and you have that money, then what do you do?
Well, first, I want to verify that if you're going to transfer that much money from the water fund to the general fund, verify it. But the city employees don't want that verified. So there's a big loss in water, and I've asked the city to prove that you are losing this much water, because it amounts to 1.3 million gallons a day lost to the residents in Milpitas. Mm-hmm. So I asked the city, prove it to me. So I asked them to give me what the water was sold last year in Milpitas. And the city violating the California Public Records Act by not giving me that data. And I've waited for 3 or 4 months at this time. So the water fund is basically being bled to death here. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to get into the politics, because the residents of Milpitas is not getting a fair choice and fair view of water fees. We started an initiative to do this. The initiative was killed by the city council members. They wouldn't even let the voters vote on the fees for what we want to think, and stop this transfer of this cost, the capital improvement program of like $40 million that just strictly benefits the city and not the residents of Milpitas. So that's what I want to change. I want to get the representatives, and if they want, I want to increase the fee for recycled water so that'll be paid for. There's also one other thing, is that the bond. The city,
ahead, then we just gotta move.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
The bond was, they wanted to pass a bond in 2016 that was charging residents $1.5 million. They didn't get the bond, but the residents of Milpitas are still charged for this bond in their fees. So these are the issues that are big problems in Milpitas, and I hope that if I'm elected, I'd have a chance to modify this. Thank you.
Awesome. So
just one quickly.
Go ahead.
I guess that maybe you forgot that you attended a meeting Monday night where we presented the cost allocation plan.
I did attend that meeting.
Yeah, you did. So those address your issues right there. Is when the Water Task Force came forward and they questioned the cost analysis, cost allocation plan, we hired a consultant who brought us back a new plan, and that was just presented to the council last week. You were there on Monday and you saw the difference there. So we've already been moving forward and addressing that issue, and the council has to now adopt that so that we can build the new water and sewer rates. So we listened to what the Water Task Force said, and we brought it forward. And I know you were there on Monday night.
Well, yeah, because she countered my
Okay, then I got to get to these folks. So let me just give you like 20 seconds.
Sure.
Give it a good.
Well, they want to transfer $2.7 million to the general fund from the water for services. We asked them, prove the time you spent on that, and there was a big discussion at the meeting, and the city employee says, no, we don't want to do it that way. Okay. So that was the end of that issue.
I want to just jump back really quick on the back end of the affordable housing.
Sure.
I'll talk after you. How about that?
Yeah. So I want to use the current programs that the state level programs and the federal level programs, like Section 8. There is Section 8 discrimination all around Milpitas. I can pull the Facebook ads, I can pull Craigslist ads where they rent, and there is Section 8 discrimination. We have this program in Milpitas right now, available from the state or federal level, and that's something that we can pass legislation on to stop discriminating against Section 8, educate people how to use or how to make their facility Section 8 compliant. So I think that's the route that I would like to take in the city to solve housing problems for low-income people because they get qualified for that. Let's take it over.
So I want to also take it back a little bit.
Cool.
I want to piggyback a little bit off what Carmen and Karina were saying, where, you know, when I'm walking door to door and I'm talking with people who they want to be heard, the main things that they talk about are the housing crisis and the traffic, you know, and you know, these are people that have to live through this every single day. And I understand what you guys are saying. I completely understand when you say it's not that easy to just talk to each other and get a plan. This job's not easy. That's just how it is. You know, hard work has to go into it. And I know I'm the fresh blood, but we all watch the city council meetings. You know, we attend or we watch the live stream from home. I don't see the communication there for these issues that almost every Milpetian is mad about.
Well, they are right now on on Unfiltered.
Jimmy forgot to mention they're also mad about the garbage. I mean, I get so many complaints.
People hate those trash bins.
Right.
Those trash bins are horrible. And, you know, I have to give credit where credit's due. You know, we started moving our garbage to Morgan Hill, but people hate the bins. You know, my thing that I've been telling people...
Will you explain to me and the people exactly, like, what are these bins and what's terrible about them?
To sum it up...
Too small.
To sum it up in very short words, you
suck.
pay a lot more for a lot less.
Okay.
You know, you have a lot less space for your garbage. You know, you have a lot less space for your recycling, and people hate that. And my thing that I've been telling people is I think it's a great concept, you know, sorting more, moving our garbage so it's not going to Newbie Island anymore because everyone hates the odor. But it was terribly executed. And we're in a 15-year contract where the price can only go up. You know, I think a little bit more thought could have went into that.
You know
I really
what?
think so.
Before you even discuss an issue, you should be aware of the facts, right? Before you promise anything, make sure that those promises are not empty. The way you resolve a problem is knowing the root cause. Housing, right? Housing issues are developed by plans in the city. These are like the general plan, the midtown plan. These are projections that were made years ago to see how Milpitas will cope up with development, right? So these things that are happening now are reaction to stimulus and development.
Well, is it accurate to say that there is a $15 million contract? Is that accurate?
15-year contract.
Right.
With the garbage bins.
Before you even talk about the cost of the contract, you have to know how the contract came about. There were requests for quotes from different service providers. We hired consultants, experts on these situations and issues to advise the sitting council on what direction we will be, right? There is a current report that we are in 100% compliance. We are in front of the race on satisfying, making sure that diversion is on 25%. Diversion means that every trash that you put in that bin, make sure that it's less that goes to the landfill so that even if that does not degenerate, it will less affect the environment. What does that mean? Our bins are in compliance, right? Whoever should have gotten the contract 9 months ago would have the same bin as we have now.
Karina, speak to it.
Gary, thank you so much for saying that you cannot speak on the items unless you've worked on them, because I actually worked on this item with Assemblymember Kansan Chu's office, and then when I moved to Senator Bob Wachowski's office, I had the same item. And so definitely I have had my share of visits over to the sites. I am very well aware of this item. I have read more than 175 pages of reports of how it came about. I think the concern that I have heard walking precincts is that it's how the contract came about and the lack of community input that it had, and the misconception of this contract and how we selected a new provider. That is a concern, because just like you said, there was somebody, a consultant, that did a report, but yet this was during the same time of the whole embezzlement situation, that the person that got in the embezzlement situation was actually making the decisions on this new contract.
It's
correct?
No, it's not. It's completely irrelevant.
It is not irrelevant.
No, it's not. You claim to have worked with this issue. I've worked this 4 years.
I worked it as a staff for many years.
This is not an overnight decision that the council made.
3 years.
It is 3 years. 3 years on the making. Objective, people's sentiments, and every consideration there is. That's the basis of the decision. You know what's wrong? What's wrong is public dissemination of false information. Either it's based from ignorance of the people disseminating it, or lack of, or riding off on public sentiments. That's it.
I am going to ask you, just in all due respect, I'm definitely not ignorant.
Well, there's two choices that I said. It's either that or you're completely...
So I am just I want to clarify, I'm definitely not ignorant, and I would definitely ask you as a woman to please just watch the tone, because for me, I'm not ignorant on the subject.
I did not say that you're ignorant.
You said you have to be ignorant to move, or the other choice that you provided at the table. I'm neither or. I'm actually very, very knowledgeable on this issue. Could you let me know what happened with this issue with the commission at the state level when Senator Bob Wachowski had it? What happened to it? Did it die or did it pass?
Tell me
which part
of your experience had to do with what we did with the contract.
Again,
I think she just wants the answer.
Yeah, did it pass?
No, the question
or did
is we can't understand the question.
Well, I think, yes. So I think once the item, so there was a Senate bill that was drafted by Assemblymember Kansan Chu. It passed the Assembly, went on to the Senate. Did it pass in the Senate?
It did not.
It did not.
My point exactly.
Right? Why?
Why? Because we need leadership that's going to be advocating at the state level, and there wasn't any, and I could tell you there wasn't any because nobody was meeting with me, and I had that item.
Leadership alone is not enough to solve the problem. What you have to do is drum up the community and participate on the process. That bill was killed because of lobbyists.
Kansan Chu, we just met with Kansan Chu, and
I did too.
And
I did too.
He told us.
I did too.
Yeah, he said I did.
Everyone did.
We all did.
About 2 hours ago. Just throwing that in there. I'm one.
You're right. You have the most recent
I'm very
one,
proud
right?
to say that I have his endorsement for this election, and he tells us that his bill failed because it was the garbage company lobbyist who spent a fortune to kill his bill. And now, if you can ask him about it.
Right, but where did it get killed? It didn't get killed in the Assembly. It passed the Assembly. It got killed in the Senate.
That's right. And
who was the chairperson in that Senate? It was our state senator. And those conversations were not happening with any of the leadership members because of Tom. He was blocking those conversations, and nobody took the initiative to call the senator.
Wow.
That is fine, but that's why he's no longer there.
Who?
One of the reasons,
Tom?
I think, yes.
Yeah, but that's a different conversation. I think we were focused on why people are upset. People are upset because of the process. We now have these bins and we have this long contract, and I think the leadership that will begin or get elected at that point will have those conversations and hopefully include the community, and that's something that I want to do, and that is why I want to get elected.
One thing that don't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Go ahead.
One thing that I picked up from talking with all the residents is that when it comes to a lot of things, but specifically in this case, the new garbage bins, it's almost as the community was completely cut off from that decision.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't informed. Until the very end. When they put the bins out on display in City Hall, but by that time it was kind of a little too late. And I'm repeating what the citizens of Milpitas are saying.
And that's what we want to hear here
I wasn't informed either, and I remember when they were doing the switchover. We used to have our giant garbage bins, which I agree. There's more efficient ways to do it. But the thing is the community of Milpitas was not kept in the loop as well as they really should have been. And now hold on. And now we're locked into a 15-year contract of something that residents of Milpitas knew nothing about. And to me, that's not right.
I want to hear from this side.
That's unfair to say that.
Our council meetings
want to
were
hear from
packed
these
for.
guys,
I mean, even Carmen was with us. Our council meetings were packed for 2 years.
Yeah. Actually, with all fairness, I live in Milpitas. I read the Milpitas Post. I've seen the notice from the city about the garbage change many, many times. I think at least 3 times that they did it. But newspaper alone probably is not enough. I mean, if we were to have town hall meeting, if we knock in every door and asking people to join, and discuss about it because it's very important for you.
That would have been a great idea.
That would have been better, right?
None of that happened.
I know, but they did put it in newspaper.
They put it in the newspaper, but 90% of the residents of Milpitas I talked to, they said
but we have to give them some credit.
And then a lot of people were confused about Measure L because they said, "Oh, Measure L is going to do this and that," so people didn't. They were confused.
Any thought on garbage on this side? I want to give you guys some action over here. No, you're wonderful. We just want to make sure everybody, everybody gets the ball.
I think one of the ways that we can try to solve this problem is the contract is already there, so no looking back and complaining about the past. What can we do in the future, like moving forward?
Well, could it be canceled?
No. It cannot be canceled. It's a contract.
Well, if they violate the articles.
It can be modified.
It could be modified.
So I think that's the route that I will take if get elected, is go and sit in the table, set some town hall meetings with the citizens. Mutually be the judge there to mutually, with all respect on both sides, raise their points and see how we can come up with a common solution. Because we understand that garbage is a big problem. How can we both come together? And we cannot do this for 15 years. So pull the people from the garbage company, pull the citizens who are really concerned, and try to talk it out and see where we can mutually meet and take that forward and have that 15-year contract proceed. That's
and in the meantime, we need to provide free dump days because people are really upset about not having dump days.
Right.
So we really either need to fund the dump days from the city budget or bring dumpsters into our community to make sure that our community has somewhere to put
That's actually something that's possible.
We do have dump days.
A neighborhood dumpster day, that's very possible.
In every single neighborhood,
but then the resident misinformed. They think that we do away with that.
We do. It's just a different process, but we do have dump days.
What are they?
Free.
What days
When are
Is
they?
it free once per month?
Is it like bulky? I have bulky.
Yeah, you call it in, they come pick it up,
an
and
old
that's
That
it.
is not the same as a
Where
free
would
dump
that
day.
go?
Not the same.
It's better than nothing. I'll give you that.
No, it's
but
not
it's
better
not-
than nothing.
mean the
It's
big
something
white
that
bags,
is
the big white
available
bags?
to the public. That's it.
Then
And-
how do
and
they use
I agree.
it?
You know,
just
I'm glad that
curious.
that's in the contract.
I'm
Good
not
to
with
know.
or
There's
against
these
anyone.
big
I just want to know
white
more. So yeah,
Dumpsters.
how do you do it? How do you
Easy.
figure
You
out?
create a CDBG fund where you put in at least $100,000. You create more neighborhood associations. You
What's
allow.
a CDGB
So
fund?
it could be
Community
like a
block
community
grant.
block grant.
It's a
fund.
community
Because we're talking about
Sorry, it could be a
everyday
community.
folk.
Yes, it could be a community grant
Not
fund.
politicians.
Yeah, sorry.
Which is cool.
It's just it's a fund that's
but
geared
that's-
towards
yeah.
community activity.
No.
If you build neighborhood
No.
associations,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
CDBG is
Yes, so
different.
It's
Okay.
very different. Yeah. CDBG is very different.
I'm just gonna
Community
let
block
somebody.
grant.
Can I finish
Yeah.
my thought? Okay, thank you. All right, so this is what I think we should do. I think we should create a community fund. We could call it whatever Milpitas needs to call it. We should make sure that we reactivate neighborhood associations. Currently, we only have one neighborhood association for the entire city. I think we need to create more. Allow them to apply to this money that we could put aside. It could be something as simple as $100,000. Allow them to do this application. Each neighborhood association will make sure that they have a free dumpster in their community. They facilitate it. We create more engagement in our community, and they have the ability to throw away their trash just like they did in the past. I definitely think this is something that our city doesn't have, and I definitely think that this is something that we need, and that is something that I know how to do, and I will champion on day one.
Cool. We're going to move on to the next topic. But in related news, the band Garbage will be performing at the Fox Theater in Oakland. I just wanted to let you know that. I saw that. And I was like, Shirley Manson's still playing. That's great.
Excuse me, I have one comment on that.
Yeah.
It's a short comment.
Yeah, cool.
There are meetings where the public can attend, but the problem with that is that if a lot of people want to attend those meetings, they've reduced the time that they can actually speak from 3 minutes down to 1 minute, and it's weird.
And that's hard to do.
Right, and then they and then they reschedule it, so it's like at 12 o'clock at night. Not that bad, but 11 to 12 o'clock. So people go home, and they don't have their input into these meetings. So that's part of the problem when the city mayor says, "Oh, well, we're going to reduce your time 1 minute. Sit down."
So outside of the topics we've spoke of, it sounds like these, and I've spoken to other people today, that these are the kind of hot button issues here, but there are more. So,
There's so much more.
so my question is that I find everyone I've been talking to they have those issues and they're very passionate about those, but there's that one other thing that's on their agenda that they're really connected to making a difference with. And it could be something small, helping a shoe store, whatever it is, something that's really real and authentic, so that we can kind of give our viewers a sense of, what your intentions are. It doesn't have to be the big issues. Yes, sir.
So,
you're next.
So one of my big passions, my sister's a teacher at Rose, and the school system here, I grew up in it. The school system when I was in it gave me the attention that I needed to be successful. And I will always be grateful of that. And I've actually talked to different members on the school board, and they say that city council and the school board has no relationship. And having no relationship between those two is horrible. One can't function without the other. The government can't function without schools. The schools can't function without government. And, even scaling back like years, the relationship has never been good. And one thing I really want to do is I really want to build the bridge between city council and the school board and really give them the support that they need, to be able to, do what they need to do. Because right now our schools are really crowded. And Measure AA is, if it passes, it'll help a lot. It'll help alleviate a lot of the cluttered schools. It will do renovations to schools that need it, and it'll help alleviate some of the clutter, not clutter, but some of the cluttered classrooms in Milpitas High. But the thing is right now they don't have a good relationship with city council. So that's what I want to do. I really want to bridge the school board and city council together. That way we can support each other. Because that's what Milpitas is all about. Milpitas is a family-friendly city, and it's always been that way. But right now,
there's only one Milpidian. There's not, other Milpidians.
We are Milpitas.
Right. That's right. Go ahead.
Dispute that though, because as a school district, as a school board and a city council, we have a very close relationship. Right. We meet on a bi-monthly basis on a school district communication meetings. I talk to school board members on a regular basis, and I talk to the superintendent every week. So we have a really good, strong working relationship. So
what could be improved? So if that's the way it is now,
I guess their perception, but
well, not their perception, but what other footwork would you do to help that area? Like nothing's perfect. What would it be? Because I'm thinking you two have some common ground here, in theory. Like, what would the next action step be that you would like to see in the schools and the community coming together?
Next step.
Right.
I'd like to see
that relationship.
From what they tell me, the relationship is very poor.
Who does that? Who tells you that?
Members of the board. I'm not going to go naming names.
Well, I have this. Okay, well.
Is it deep throat? One word. What's going on?
I'll give you
does who it is really matter? The fact is that the relationship between the two is not very good, and it shows. It shows in our city. Does it really matter who said what? Even if, let's say all I did was look at the city and looked at the crowded schools and looked at how much they paid for the property that Mabel Matos was built on. You can tell that the relationship is bad and has been bad. You can just tell. Just by looking at our city.
How can you tell specifically?
For the fact that how much they paid for the Mabel Matos property back then.
How much
it was a redevelopment agency site, and the school paid more than what they should have paid.
Yeah,
but at a member of the community advisory,
Tom Williams was the city manager at the time, and I think he had something to do with that. But anyway.
Well, actually, I was a school board president. I was the school board president, and I was part of signing the lease or the contract for buying that property. And we had it assessed, and we did not pay more than it was valued at. We paid a fair market rate, and we knew that going into it. That was part of the deal when, in 2008, when we went to the city council and we asked for a site.
But see, it should have been below market because it was a redevelopment agency site.
How much
and I think that was the argument.
$21 million.
How much did the school system buy it for?
Oh, I don't know what Milpitas paid for it. We bought it for $21 million.
You don't know how much Milpitas bought it for?
No.
Okay.
But I know that
I don't know the exact number, so I don't want to say it and get misquoted.
And
I know it was way more than
the deal that we made at the time, because I was on the other side of the fence, the deal that we made at the time is it was a 12-acre site. We bought 6 acres of it for the new school, and the city is putting in a park for a joint use, and so we have joint use facilities there, and so that was even the city's also contributing and putting in the parking lot and in the shared parks. So that was how we balanced out. And it's hard to talk from being on the school board side and now being here, but that's how we balanced it out with the city over the price of the land and the price. What the city school district was really getting was that whole parcel.
Right. That's the partnership.
It was a very good decision. We were very excited about it.
Right. That's the partnership. You know, the separateness of the two agencies. The partnership that was formed was more collaborative. We have bridges. We call them out if we need to. We ask for statistics when we do development, especially for housing. We go way along each other, you know. And Marcia was right. We took installment on the payment to help out the school district. We tried to develop a joint project for the benefit of that school. So we can do as much as a partner on this kind of development, but we are very mindful that they need help.
So you had mentioned what would be your, this is a segue. What I would like to see is have the school district reopen Samuel Area High School, because our Milpitas High School is just way too crowded. The traffic is getting impacted because most of the kids come from the east side of Milpitas, which is Parktown. Parents bring their kids in their car. The traffic from 680 is just too much congestion. Also, a lot of parents want their families want their kids near their home. In case of a disaster, Milpitas right now has, I think, 3,400 students, and it's time for a new high school. And I'm hoping that the new bond will. I think the school district is moving in the right direction with the bond.
How many here are in favor of the new high school?
Everybody should.
Everybody.
That's a big issue.
How many are supporting the bond?
Right.
I am.
I'm supporting the bond.
Yeah,
Right.
we support it.
Yes, on AA.
I'm not only supporting the bond, I will
you
also
polishing
make sure
But
a little
that's,
bit.
Yeah.
and so going
Support
back
is
to
not enough.
Yeah.
You know, you have to make sure
that the school is
the school is
built.
accountable when it spends that and devotes the amount necessary for education and the new high school.
That's
Supporting
key.
is not
That's
enough.
Key.
True.
So
You have to be
So we
with
have
it.
3 minutes.
Going back on your question.
So I'm gonna let you talk, and then we're just gonna do a bullet
you.
point out, and then we'll be good.
Just really short, one of the things that you asked is what else is being brought up. One of the things that has been being brought up to my attention is something that I want to change, hopefully if I get the opportunity with your vote, is making sure that Milpitas has placemaking strategies in place. Many Milpitans don't stay in Milpitas because there's nothing to do. So one of the things that I would like to do is reactivate places like Main Street that has 2 local parks in it. Why don't we use them for yoga in the park? Do concerts in the evening. Make sure that we promote placemaking strategies that are not only going to celebrate what Milpitas has, but is also going to allow families to do what they should be doing, is spending time with each other, and all of it for free, being sponsored by the city.
And those places can become up and coming. I know that from living in Oakland.
we
driving
do-
by
we do
places.
have plans.
And then a few years later, they're like showing movies on
Yes,
the
on the
wall, and
screen.
families are out. So I think that's really cool.
midterm
So
plan.
we're just we have to wrap this up. I'm so sorry, but this is an awesome panel. I want all of you. You know, let's just. There's got to be other categories. I want everybody in. Did you have one quick thing to say? Go for it, Robert.
Other categories. I think we should limit the term minutes from 12 years to 8 years for council members to give other people an opportunity. We should limit the housing development except for low-income people so they can have a chance. And we should uphold the laws of the state of California, especially Proposition 218, that protect the Milpitas residents from being overcharged for service and have a say in that.
I got to go 30 seconds, each one of you, and just like a few sentences, if that, of what are you going to do? Why are you the best?
I'm the best candidate because I have the experience. I've been on the school board for 8 years. I've been a vice mayor for the city of Milpitas and was working well with our city government to provide the services for our citizens. And I want you to vote for me so we can move forward and develop Main Street like Karina had mentioned, do the other things that the other work together to make Milpitas the best city to raise a family.
Perfect.
Vote for someone that you trust. I have the experience, integrity, I'm honest, and I have the intellect to go forward. I do not make promises, I fulfill them. One thing that I've learned for the last 4 years is making a decision. Decision making on that level is tough, but you have to have integrity to do that. You don't have to be swayed by any political swaying. You don't have to be swayed by any interest groups. What you should forward and base the decision from is what is good for the community. Do not abstain. Make a position. That's why people are there to give them a chance to voice their choice. Awesome. So whether it's popular or unpopular, make the right decision. And I believe that's what the people need. Vote for someone that could voice out, that is firm on their positions, and somebody that would embody your aspirations.
Okay.
To everyone watching this live and at home, I want you to go out and vote for someone who you feel like will represent you and represent your family. It's time that Milpitas gets handed back to the residents, and they're informed, and they get to make decisions. They get informed on when town halls are happening, and they know exactly what's going on, and they have motivated leaders who want to bring change. Tim Alcorn for City Council.
Please vote for me. I'm a crime prevention specialist with the San Jose Police Department. I run on integrity. I run on a platform for the people. I do not have a political agenda. I am here to serve you. I am depending on you to move Milpitas forward. Together, I know we could do that, but I need your vote. Please make sure you remember you can vote for 2 people. I hope that I'm able to get one of those 2 votes.
And nobody's more passionate at this job than me. Oh, sorry.
I want to create. In Milpitas, we have 61% of Asian American. So I want to create a stronger voice for the underserved and the marginalized community that for a long time they were not sitting at the table making decisions. So I want to be the voice to represent them. And most of all, I want all of us to work together for the well-being of our city. So I have a lot of years experience in working for public and community services. And I have incredible endorsement from Senator Bob Wachowski, Assembly Member Kenson Chu, Askaura, Supervisor Dave Cortese, Cindy Chavez, many other leaders in our community. I even have South Bay Labor Union endorsement. So this is really awesome. With all of that support, I'm committed to do well, to work best for our community. Every decision I make will have your voice in it. I make sure that you have a voice in it. I make sure that together we can work for the betterment of the city of Milpitas.
If she was a race car driver, she'd have
This is it.
On the windshield.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, because in the beginning I didn't have a chance to say it, so I want to say it at the end.
Robert.
Thank you.
Well, if you vote for me for council, I will support proportional utility fees, create utilities commission that's permanent so that people have a say in the action there, reduce council members for 8 years, and force the upholding of Article 13D proposition, which protect the residents of Milpitas from being overcharged and have a say, and not kill our initiative when we present an initiative to the city council members. So that's what I'm for here.
Thank you. Real quick, I want to tell you, thanks so much for bringing up hate crime. I've been here all day. I've heard a lot of issues. You're the only person that said that. And I'm here to learn because I don't know anything about Milpitas. So thanks for sharing that. I thought that was really awesome. And I think the community needs to hear that.
Yeah.
Not biased, just a guy saying, hey, that was really cool. Everyone cares.
That was good. Thanks for bringing that up.
Go for it.
Thank you. I'm a problem solver, getting solutions to problems that people think cannot be solved. So Milpitas, one of the problems that everyone thinks in this community that cannot be solved is the odor smell. And I think I can bring a solution to it by agreeing to disagree with people who are involved. When I say people, the regional cities that are involved, because we don't have no control over that problem. And I'm okay to go sit there and agree to disagree and come up with a solution which will solve that problem which has been there for generations. And that's why you need to vote for Sun, and I need your support. Thank you.
My question for you along with this is, with your experience as a vice mayor, how do you take that what can you do with that experience and put it into this job that you think makes you a better candidate than the rest?
It's the same job.
Yeah.
It's just the title. It's the same job.
She takes over and the mayor's out.
But there you go.
They feed me information. There's a lady out there. She's very nice. But anyways.
What I've learned with my time on the council is that you have to fight for the people. And I was told when the Sunny Hills issue came up, when the developer came to us and said that he was going to demolish Sunny Hills and build townhomes that started at 1.2 million, I was alarmed because I knew those families. My children went to school with the kids that lived there. So, and I sat in those homes and I knew those people. So I wasn't going to let that happen. But I was told by our city administration that there was no way I could stop it. So I took that as
a team effort, Marcia.
I took that as a challenge.
Wasn't just you.
That was the beginning. I took that as a challenge that we were going to find a solution. And we did work as a team. I mean, Gary was very instrumental. We did work as a team.
The Sunny Hills Improvement Association was instrumental as well.
Right.
Excuse me, this was my 30 seconds.
Let's let her finish.
We did work as a team, and the city had the power, and we did come up with a solution. So working through that situation, I realized that you can't be told you can't do something. If you're doing it for the right reasons, then you fight for it and you make it happen. And I will fight for the people of Milpitas.
I'm here with a group of people who care. Find the one that best serves you. If you want any more information other than this, go online. Get in touch with them. Do whatever you need to do, but vote November 6th. And thank you so much to my panel. This is Unfiltered. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.